So today's video is going to be super valuable for anyone looking to start an SMMA, and I would actually go as far as saying this is probably the most valuable video that I've created on this channel so far, because in today's video I'm going to be talking to you guys about exactly how to deliver the best results for your clients. And delivering results for SMMA clients can be split into a two-part process. So one part is actually creating the ads in the Facebook Ads Manager, and that's kind of the easy part. Whereas the other part is strategizing and coming up with a perfect plan of attack in order to deliver the best results to your clients. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So what I've prepared for you guys is a presentation that goes over firstly the three main objectives that you should be focusing on with your marketing efforts in order to deliver the best results. And then I've actually gone ahead and included a presentation that I did for my own client about 2-3 months ago. So this was in January, and I had been working with this client for about a month. And we took a meeting just so I could update them on how everything was going and on the exact numbers that I had generated for them. So again, this is the exact presentation that I showed to them, only I showed it to them in Danish and I've translated it to English for you guys, but none of the numbers have changed or anything. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the presentation. So you should now be looking at the presentation, and the three main objectives that I was talking about are webshop conversions, lead generations, and brand awareness. Okay, so let's start from one end. Webshop conversions. So the main objective of webshop conversions is something that you'll usually be targeting if your client is an e-commerce business, because webshop conversions is generating direct sales on their webshop. So what this funnel could look like is creating an ad on Facebook and Instagram that has the objectives of webshop conversions. And so the funnel looks like you show the potential customer an ad, they click the ad, they come on the web shop, add to basket, initiate checkout, and they end up purchasing the product, right? So with webshop conversions as your main goal, you can actually end up generating sales for your client within the span of 5 minutes for an actual customer, right? And this means that if you're running a successful and profitable webshop conversion campaign for your client, it can be really profitable for your client in the matter of a very short amount of time, and it can put your agency into a very positive light. So obviously webshop conversions focus more so on the monetary ROI side. Now the next objective on here is lead generation, and the lead generation objective is something you usually be running for clients that require their customers to have a physical presence. Okay, so for example, this could be dentists and dermatologists, right? You could run a lead generation campaign for a dentist that prompted potential customers to come in for a free assessment and a free view look at their teeth in order to see if there's anything wrong with their teeth, anything. And you might be saying, why would he give like an assessment like that away for free? And that is because if you get a potential client into a dental clinic, it is very likely that they're actually going to sign up with that dental clinic and they can stay with that clinic for years to come, right? So even though we're giving a free service up front, it can be very profitable for your client in the long term. The last one on here is brand awareness, and in contrast to webshop conversions, brand awareness focuses more on the social ROI side. And this is because when you're running campaigns with the brand awareness objective for your client, you're focusing more on generating social ROI on the Facebook and Instagram page. So you're focusing on generating page likes for the Facebook page and more followers for the Instagram page, and in general just more engagement on their post both on Facebook and on Instagram. And actually the main objective of a brand awareness campaign, and it kind of lies in the name brand awareness, is just to get more people to be familiar with the brand name of your client. So obviously with the webshop conversions objective, it's really easy to track the exact results you're generating for your client, because you can say, well, we're charging you $2,000 a month for our retainer and we're spending $1,000 a month additionally to run ads for you, but we're generating $12,000 in revenue for you guys every single month. So that means that your services have a 4x ROI for your client, and that's obviously really positive. Whereas with the brand awareness objective, it can be more difficult to track the exact results you're generating. Of course, you can see how many page likes and how many followers you generated for them. But as I said, one of the main objectives with the brand awareness campaign is just to get more people to be familiar with the brand name of your client, and that can be really difficult to track. So obviously that's something you have to tell your client upfront. If they want to do brand awareness campaigns for them, you have to tell them that they might not be able to feel the impact of your campaigns immediately. So now that we've gone over the three main objectives, I want to jump into the presentation I was talking about, which is a presentation I did for my client back in January, and let's just jump into it straight away. So on the first slide, what I did was just present the exact numbers that I had generated for them, so that they know what we was working with, and so that we had that out of the way, and then we can work on critics and improving further down along the line, right? So again, presenting the numbers up front, I have nothing to hide. had generated really good results for them. So I ran a mix of brand awareness and lead generations campaigns for this client. And as you can see, the first number on here is 34, well, almost 35,000 people in reach, right? So we reached a total of 35,000 unique Danish people in the first month of working with them. And something I want you to keep in mind is these are not really high numbers for a usual month with social media marketing. The reason some of these numbers are pretty low is that this client is it's actually a client that I've talked about previously here on the channel, and it's a client that sells really expensive products. So they do bathtubs, sinks, everything really high-end luxury designer items for the bathroom. That's what they sell, and thus the campaigns that I was running for them had to be really targeted towards a really wealthy audience, because only the most wealthy people in Denmark can afford their products, and therefore it has been quite expensive for us to reach high numbers, and that's why you might see that these numbers are lower than you would usually see. Moving on to the next one here, link clicks, 588. So this was a lead generation campaign. This client actually has a web shop that you can buy their bathtub straight off the web shop, but we decided not to run web shop conversion campaigns just because it's quite rare for someone to click an ad, go into a web shop, and then buy a $5,000 bathtub straight away within the span of 5 minutes, right? So we ran a lead generation campaign with the focus of getting people into the web shop, getting people to be familiar with the products, and then taking contact with my client to ask more about the products, and then they can actually sell them through getting more information and through a longer dialogue. So yeah, 588 people were the amount of leads that I generated, the amount of leads that came into the web shop. Yeah. Next one here, we did some brand awareness, so that achieved 540 page likes for their Facebook page, and the last number is 124 leads. So this is the amount of people who actually came into the web shop through the ads, came into the web shop and ended up contacting them. So 124 people came into the web shop and actually called them in regards to the products and wanted more info about the products. And when you factor in that their products range anywhere between, well, $500 is probably the lowest, and then all the way up to over $5,000, you can imagine that bringing in 124 potential customers, actual 124 leads that could buy products of the price up to $5,000, I've generated a good amount of revenue. I'm not going to say the exact number, but you can do the math yourself. So let's jump into the next slide right here, and that is just, I gave them a preview of the ads that we have been running. So once I create the ads for the client, I immediately send out an email with screenshots of the ads that we're running, so they can see, so they're updated on which kind of ads that I'm running for the agency, for the business, sorry. But I still wanted to give just a preview of what we have been doing in this presentation. So you can see on the left, on the very left, lead generation campaign showing a bathtub, and then there's a learn more CTA call to action at the bottom that they can click and go into the web shop, get more info about the product, and contact my client. Next one on here is some of the brand awareness campaign we did. So it's just prompting a page like in the lower right of the ad. And on the very right, you can see I took a screenshot of the comments they have been getting. So obviously these comments are in Danish. It's a Danish client, so you can't read these comments. But I put this in, I'm just gonna translate it for you. It says, look at this bathtub, inspirational, and it says like nice bathroom furniture, right? So I just took a screenshot of some of the engagement that we have been getting on the ads, just to show them that the response of these ads were really positive, and that they should actually go ahead and reply to these comments, because obviously some of these comments are potential buyers and interested buyers, right? Next slide on here is some data analysis. So I just wanted to throw in 3 quick screenshots of some important data that we have been collecting, which is age, gender, and web shop traffic. First one on here, age. So we can see that the dominant group, well, mostly was between 35 to 44 years old, and the dominant group was 25 to 54 years old. Next one on there is gender. And it was very clear to see that mostly women had viewed our ads. And even though when we created the campaign, we put both men and women, we didn't prioritize women over men in the ad creation, but it was Facebook's judgment and it was Facebook's view that women were most interested in our ads and women engaged most with our ads, and therefore the Facebook algorithm decided to show most women our ads. Even though it was more expensive, the CPM of showing women's our ad were actually more expensive. CPM is cost per mile, which is the cost of 1,000 people viewing your ad. The last one on there is web shop traffic, and we can see that we had 2,300 unique web shop visitors since we started tracking. Now obviously they didn't have a Facebook pixel before I started working with them, so we have only been collecting data since I started working with them. But yeah, we can see that 2,300 people have visited their web shop, and out of those 2,300, obviously 588 were through our lead generation campaign, and then obviously a lot more people came through our brand awareness campaigns who just couldn't track those visits directly. Well, we can estimate that probably around 33-35% of their visitors came through our ads. So the next slide that I'm going to go on to here is probably the most valuable slide in the entire presentation, and that is the 90-day strategy. Now actually this is a 120-day strategy, but since I had already been working with this client for 30 days, it was the strategy for the next 90 days to come. But you can see there are 4 stages, stage A, B, C, and D, and each of these stages are a month, okay? So starting with stage A, what we did in stage A was just some standard basic lead generation and brand awareness campaigns. And this was because, as I said, they hadn't previously installed a Facebook pixel on their web shop previous to me working with them, so we didn't have any data for me to work with. And so therefore it was essential to do some basic lead generation and brand awareness campaigns just so we could collect some essential data to get started with more advanced advertising methods. Stage B on here, retargeting, right? So after 30 days, we had enough web shop visitors and we had collected enough data that we could start retargeting people that had shown interest in our ads and in their products. Stage C is when we could commence lookalike audiences, and we've just finished stage C. We're moving into stage D now, but lookalike audiences is really difficult to explain. Essentially what a lookalike audience is Facebook taking all the data that you've collected about your customers and putting it into a pool and kind of forming the average identity of the people who have shown interest in your brand, and then finding more people who look like, not physically look like, but who kind of remind them of the people who have already shown interest in your brands. And you can create these lookalike audiences from 1% expanding all the way to 10% of the people who are mostly like the people who have shown interest in the brand. Blah. Okay, so that is stage C. As I said, we've just finished stage C. Lookalike audiences are really profitable, but you need a lot of data to run them. Stage D, which is the scale and maintain phase. So at this point, you've put all the systems and processes into place, and in stage D, less work is actually required of you. Of course, you still have to create new ads quite often. You have to update the campaigns and stuff like that. But as I said, the systems have been put in place. Retargeting campaigns are running, lookalike audiences are running, and so all you have to do from here is come up with some new ad material, like new photos, and advertise new products once in a while. But you're not going to be charging less just because you have to do less work, because obviously you've done a lot of work to get to stage D, and so your monthly retainer is going to remain the same. And so the last slide on here is actually just me giving them a preview of one of the ads that I'm going to be running in the month to come, right? So we have been working for 30 months, and at this point I actually hadn't been running any story ads for them, but I came up with the idea of running story ads for some of their syncs, and this story ad has proven to be so profitable. I actually spoke with my contact person from Copenhagen Bath just like probably a week after I started running this story ad for them, and she told me that they had been getting so many phone inquiries, like people calling them asking about the sync and wanting to buy this sync. So basically this is a story ad with a swipe up link, and this isn't exactly how it ended up looking. It was just to give them a preview of one of the ads that I was planning running for them in the month to come. So I hope that you took some great value out of this video. Now, as I said, delivering results is a two-part process: creating the ads and making the strategy for running the ads. Now obviously in today's video we went over the strategy part, and I'm gonna do an updated Facebook and Instagram ads tutorial in the very near future. But for now, I really hope that you took some great value out of this strategy lesson. And other than that, I'll see you in the next one.